I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, you didn't give me the final. We got a semi and we got 9 games to help us do what we do.
Well, you heard it from Arlington Mayor Jim Ross. Despite reports over the last 2 weeks that the final match of the 2026 Men's World Cup would be held at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, FIFA announced Sunday that the champion would instead be crowned at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, home to the NFL's New York Giants and New York Jets.
Cannot believe we lost the jersey. But it happened. The city, the state, the region itself has done a lot of things to position ourselves for a global event like this.
When Emmett Smith puts it that way, it's a little tougher to swallow. I'm Chris Blake, and Texas wants to know how people are reacting to the news that Arlington will host 9 World Cup matches in 2 years, but not the final. We've covered that AT&T Stadium won't host the final, but it will host one of the 2 semifinals and 9 matches total, the most of any of the tournament's 16 host cities. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones and Mavericks legend Dirk Nowitzki both said the region was ready.
We'll assure you that we will take each one of these games and we'll use every ounce of anything the Cowboys are about, anything North Texas is about, everything Texas is about.
I'm more excited than I am disappointed to have 9 games and to host so many people from all over the world. So I think Dallas is ready for it, and it's going to be a great World Cup.
The 16 host cities are spread between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. Aside from Arlington and New Jersey, the U.S. host sites are Atlanta, Boston, Houston, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, Philadelphia, Seattle, and San Francisco. Mexico City will host the tournament's opening match. Guadalajara and Monterrey will also hold matches in Mexico. And in Canada, the host cities are Toronto and Vancouver. I spoke with Gavin Dawson, one of the hosts of the G-Bag Nation on KRLD's sister station, 105.3 The Fan, about his reaction to the news and what it will mean for North Texas. Gavin Dawson, thanks for making time today.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me. Always good to see you.
So were you watching the World Cup announcement yesterday afternoon?
No, I was actually getting updates on my phone from a friend because I was coaching. I was coaching at that time. So as I got out of the car and started the session, we were within minutes of the most important announcement. So, but had a place to be. So I was checking on my phones and giving updates to the dads and the players.
Now, one of the things we saw for the couple weeks leading up to this announcement was that the final was going to be at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. That was not the case. So what was your reaction when you saw that it was going to be in New York?
The crazy soccer media got us again, and it's a story that, is kind of annoying. But once you are inside the soccer news cycle, you just have to be ready for a tabloid nature to any story. And nothing has really happened until you've triple confirmed it, So it's kind of like how the modern day situation on Twitter or X, there's all these prank accounts. There's fake Adam Schefter's, the most popular NFL reporter. And it's a game to try to get something to go viral or to make news when it's not really news. And that's the way I treat soccer media as well. It was no doubt disappointing. I thought there was a legitimate chance to it, and I would have actually picked Dallas over the other cities, but it was not a surprise that even though this story had surfaced twice and the guy said he had good sources, that it just wasn't true again.
From the committee standpoint, what do you think gives New York the leg up?
Well, number one media market in America, I think is a big start. Maybe more access for European teams flying in, as far as not having an additional 4 hours to fly for the fans coming from there. But I think mass transportation has to be a factor. And I think just New York's ability to capture the imagination of the globe. You're going to Times Square, you're doing all of these things. And I think that makes more sense to me, even as a DFW guy, that would be the centerpiece of your tournament.
Now, North Texas fans shouldn't be disappointed. 9 matches here is still a pretty big deal, right?
Oh, yeah. 9 matches, the semifinal. This is still a huge win for DFW. I know they had to have been disappointed, and maybe they get the 9 matches. But for me, as a fan that wants to go to games, going into this, if you would say, hey, would you rather have the final or the most games? I'm leaning most games because I want opportunities to get tickets at a decent price. I want lots of different variety of teams and players to go see. And I think this is fantastic. And we will still get to see one of the teams that will appear in the final.
So is that where we can catch you all of June 2026?
Well, I don't know all of June 2026. I think I might have to hit the West Coast for a USA game, either Seattle or Los Angeles, where all three of their group games are going to be. But yes, I'm hoping to drive as much of the show towards that, so we can, experience that from a professional perspective as well. But whatever I have to do as a fan as well, we'll see what the budget and the credit cards can handle.
If you're not a soccer fan in DFW, can you kind of put this into perspective scale-wise? What can people expect a couple years from now?
Well, I think the final would have been, what do they say, 10 Super Bowls? What did Jerry Jones say, 8 Super Bowls, something like that? I think the closest thing that it would impact is how we remember the commerce around the Super Bowl that was here in 2010, 2011, combined with the traffic around Fair Park. And maybe on game day, traffic around Fair Park when Texas and OU are playing. I think that's what it's going to be. I think for the hospitality industry, this is a windfall unlike anything we've seen in Dallas-Fort Worth. That has to be very exciting for those small business operators around town and the corporations as well. Hotels, the airfare, the restaurants. It is going to be, I believe, it is going to be the greatest soccer party we've ever had in Dallas-Fort Worth, with all of the internationals being here, all of the watch parties, the international flavors and everything. It's going to be, I think, the greatest soccer month of our lives.
Maybe the biggest soccer month in the country's history.
Absolutely, because in '94, I was an adult by then, and I spent my whole life playing soccer. It was exciting to have it, but the MLS was just an idea still then, and it was coming. But now the MLS has set up shop, and all of these different international leagues have set up shop in our cable and satellite providers. Everybody knows the sport. It is very comfortable as one of the top 5 American sports now, instead of a reach. Instead of something that we were hoping one day would become popular. It's now popular. We have 5 world-class players. We have more good players than ever before. There's just so many reasons to be excited about, culturally where we are and how good the team is.
All right, Gavin, thanks. I wish you luck in taking your show on the road to the West Coast in 2 years.
Thanks. We're going to give it a go.
The 2026 World Cup gets underway in Mexico City on June 11th of that year. The U.S. team's first match will be Friday, June 12th in L.A. I'm Chris Blake at News Radio 1080 KRLD in Dallas-Fort Worth. Thanks for listening to this episode of Texas Wants to Know. If you liked it, please give us a rating and a review wherever you listen to podcasts. I wrote, edited, and produced this episode with editorial support from Cooper Mall and original music by Michael Eisenstein. Audacy's managing producer for National News Podcasts is Myron Kaplan.